Welcome to the bold analysis. Mombasa Governor Abdulswamad Nasir is telling President William Ruto off guard and Rigathi Gachagua that Mombasa County is not going to lean to Kenya Kwanza in the wake of the port privatization. And the governor, who is looking very furious, is asking some very good questions that the national government needs to answer. This one is in response to the plans to privatize Mombasa Port.
Hatuwezi kubebwa kifalafala na bandari. Ni lazima tujue feasibility gani ilofanywa kuonesha ya kwa hii bandari ya kwa leo wanataka kuibinafsisha. Kwa nini wasiende kubinafsisha Kenya Airways ili ndege nyingine zije kuingia hapa Mombasa? Tuone tumenyamaza mukaona ya kwa tunayakubali. Tunayanyamaza kwa sababu tunachukulia kwanza ya kwa pengine Mungu amewajalia na uungwana ule ambao kwamba Mungu ametujalia sisi ya kwa tutakaa na kuzungumza hali ya watu wetu. Lakini mkiona sasa tunazungumza ni kwa sasa Mungu ametufungua macho ya kwa hamuna muungwana wowote. Nia na madhumuni ni kuweza. Leo nasikia hapa wengine wanasema ya kwa tuna bandari.
There are some very deep allegations the governor is raising there. He's saying and is asking that when you sell the port, when you sell some of the some port of operations, is there a guarantee that the people of the Mombasa are going to be employed? What about the security of their jobs? Because common practice is when I buy a business, it is not under government. So it is an individual. It is upon that person to choose who he wants to employ there. So if the model of a recruitment might not be controlled by those in power. Abdulswamad is also saying that when he tends to ask these questions, he is normally intimidated and asked to tone down. But again, he's also taking cognizance that despite of the good working relationship between the county government of Mombasa and the national government, there is nothing to show. And he's asking his cabinet members, what are the benefits they have received from the national government? This is a very interesting point that we might have to look at this time. And so I want to say here that the move to privatize Mombasa Port is one that was not just mooted today. I think when Uhuru tried, it also received the same backlash. And so, why is the governor furious about that port privatization? Or I want to explain why that port privatization has been done above board, and the reason why Mombasa County and Abdulswamad is actually right to protest against that move. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our video. Thank you very much for supporting our podcasts. Thank you very much for being of support to us and of course sharing our content. In full glare of the cameras, the governor is simply seeing that there is some slight business in the port sale. Slight business in the sense that even the bids were opened, people are now taking bids. And the process of awarding those tenders or awarding of the sale to individual companies is already mad with corruption, kickbacks, and of course, what can be touted as PPP might be people taking it back. I want to say for the record here, PPP is public-private partnership, where private citizens or private investors are given powers or rather they buy a government business entity so that they privatize it and work it as a profit. And so government will only collect the taxes, all the taxes that government introduce in it. And so there seems to be something coming out here that you will not be shocked to realize after some years that most tenders were not even given to foreign companies. That foreign companies are just proxies, but they've been given by the same people awarding those tenders. Yes. What is called as privatization linked to some companies abroad, or remember they will be given those companies abroad, and the powerful people within our land buy huge shares in those companies, especially when they start making profits. So that is what the government is seeing. That's what Abdulswamad is seeing. There is a sly business in it. It's not smooth as you may want to see. My next podcast is going to expound more on this. And of course, even that acquisition is very mad with challenges. The second observation I'm also making on this port privatization is it's also a plan to kick out Mombasa stakeholders. I want to explain this. What is kicking? Who are Mombasa stakeholders? We have the Joho families that are running a couple of businesses just around the port. Largest stakeholders of Mombasa are residents of Mombasa that are employed in those areas. Those are also stakeholders. So, and the governor is feeling, and the governor is very right, that when it is just done that way, without a very good framework, without a legal framework between the privatizing entity and the county government, then what about the security of tenure for Mombasa stakeholders that are getting jobs there? That those who are running some operations, they're getting some side, they're getting some money, and it's helping the Mombasa economy. There are also young people in Mombasa. There are quite a number of people that work in Mombasa because they work in those port areas. Now, when we privatize, when we give them to the hands of individuals, is there a guarantee that we are going to employ still the young people from Mombasa? That is the simple question that the governor is asking, and I wish it can be given. And I don't seem, and he's saying hatutababu ofala kwa sababu what this privatization, what has happened, and I can tell you is, I've always been seeing Abdulswamad hanging around William Ruto, Ruto quoting him when Ruto goes to Mombasa, always attending all the national government functions. But again, today he's confirming that there is nothing to show for it. What is, because Dongokundu is a national government. Government runs their national projects there. But he's saying there's less to show for the county. The other third aspect why Abdulswamad is also raising this is the privatization has been touted as a strategy to make the port operations vibrant so that they make profits. But again, indirectly, it kills the devolution fortunes in Mombasa. How? I remember Mombasa County has been trying to push the national government to introduce a levy from the proceeds of the port. I think they should collect some taxes from the port. Just like in Narok, Masai Mara Game Reserve is a national game park. So it's a national, it belongs to the national government, not the Ministry of Tourism. But the county government of Narok benefits. There is a percentage that goes to the county government of Narok. So there's been that discussion that because if it cannot be, I went to Mombasa, it cannot be that Mombasa hosts the port, Kenya's biggest port. And again, it's not one of the most vibrant towns. Mombasa has been dormant, by the way, apart from the few now affordable housing projects that are done, that were started during Uhuru Kenyatta time. So the governor has been asking national government, give me even 2% of what comes from Mombasa Port. Just give me even 1%. But I remember the push and pull between the county government and Attorney General insisted that it's a national infrastructure, and of course the county is not allowed to introduce any levy. And the governor is saying that now, if that was, they argued when it was under national government. So is there any hope that will be given anything if it is now sold to individuals? And that is why the governor is also seeing, to some extent, it also brings that. Lastly, I see the privatization might also have some control on Mombasa politics, in the sense that we are going to create new cartels that now we're going to run Mombasa. And remember, politics and commercial interests normally meet. Those who sponsor politicians are people with the commercial interest, especially in Mombasa around the port. Yes. So when you get new faces, the political geographics of Mombasa, the political topography of Mombasa is going to change. And that is why they're saying, these fellows that are coming, these are going to be new cartels. They are going to influence and inject money and get new other centers of influence that they might want to create. However, there is something I tend not to see. I don't know that national government sees this. We seem to have over dependence on the taxes, because if this should make profit, what is going on? What the private person who is going to sell is going to do is just going to make it efficient. There's nothing more, and invest a bit. Can't government invest so that it also generates for this country profits? Instead of us selling what we have, so that after selling to individuals, the country will only be taking taxes. Are we going to just depend on taxes? Can't we find creative ways of making such infrastructures of government be profit making, so that one of the sources of government making money is to get those profits instead of just relying on taxes? Because the intention is to sell it to individuals, then slap those businesses with all manner of taxes. And so even if we do that, is this still going to be viable? Ladies and gentlemen, I think Mombasa governor is right that they should be included in such a plan. Thank you.